Hello, today we will talk about ex parte decree and the Order 9 of the CPC speaks about the ex parte decree. So, ex parte decree, before we consider this, we have to look at the general principle of law that as far as possible, suit must be heard in presence of both the parties. Now, let us consider the various situations which may arise in the suit. The first situation is that both the plaintiff and the defendant did not appear. So if both the plaintiff and the defendant does not appear, the court will dismiss the suit for default. And then that will not prevent the plaintiff to file a fresh suit on the same cause of action, and it can also apply in the court to set aside the order for dismissal of the suit for default. Obviously, when such method is available, why will the plaintiff file a fresh suit? So, but still, he can file a fresh suit also for the same cause of action, and he can apply to the court to set aside the order of dismissal for default of non-appearance. So this is the first scenario, and if the court is satisfied that there was sufficient reason, it will set aside and proceed with the hearing and give a date for hearing, etc. Now the second scenario is that the plaintiff appears but the defendant does not appear. So if the plaintiff appears and the defendant does not appear, and the plaintiff proves that the summons were duly served to the defendant, and if he is able to prove his case, then the court may proceed and give an ex parte decree. Now, this rule is Rule 6 of Order 9, and it is only applicable in the first hearing and not the subsequent hearing. Now, what if there are more than one plaintiffs and one or more of them appears and the rest of them don't appear? In this case, the Rule 10 will apply. And in such a case, where there are more than one plaintiff and one or more of them is present and the rest of them are absent in the suit on a particular day, the court may proceed as per Rule 10 as of them all of them are present, or it may pass such order as it deems fit. So we have looked at two scenarios. First was that both the plaintiff and the defendant both were absent. In that case, the suit will be dismissed for default for non-appearance. Then in that case, the plaintiff can file even a fresh suit, or he can apply for setting aside the order for dismissal of the suit for non-appearance. Then we looked at the second scenario, which was that the plaintiff appears and the defendant does not appear. In that case, the plaintiff has to satisfy and prove to the court that the summons were duly served. In that case, the court will proceed ex parte, and if the plaintiff is able to prove his case, then the court can pass an ex parte decree. Now, this is as per Rule 6 of Order 9. Now, this is discretion given to the court. Court may proceed and pass an ex parte decree. So, there is no obligation, there is no compulsion on the court. However, if court wants to do it, if the court thinks fit, yes, it can proceed and pass an ex parte decree. Now, the third scenario is that the plaintiff is absent and the defendant is present. Listen carefully. The third scenario, the plaintiff is absent but the defendant is present. In such a case, if the defendant does not admit to the claim of the plaintiff, whether in whole or in part, then the suit will be dismissed against the defendant. So, if the defendant does not admit the claim of the plaintiff in whole or in part, then the suit will be dismissed against the defendant. Then, if in the same situation, however, if the defendant admits to the claim of the plaintiff, whether in whole or in part, then the court will proceed and pass a decree against the defendant. Whether it was regarding whole or in part, then if it is in part, then related to such claim. If it is whole, then related to whole. So then the court will pass the decree against the defendant. But if the defendant does not admit the claim of the plaintiff in whole or in part, then the court will dismiss the suit against the defendant. This is the situation when the defendant is present but the plaintiff is absent. Okay. And this situation we spoke is about when there is one plaintiff and if he is absent, or if there are more than one plaintiff and if all of them are absent. But if there are more than one plaintiff and if one or more of them is present, then the Rule 10 will apply. Because as per the Rule 10, just as we spoke before, that in such a case the court will proceed as of if one or more plaintiffs are there and if one or more of them appears, then the court can proceed as of all of the plaintiffs are present. So these are the three scenarios that we have looked into. Now we will talk further about the ex parte decree in the next video. Thank you.